Breaking tonight, Donald Trump agrees to release court transcripts related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This after a bombshell report published in the Wall Street Journal about Trump's ties to Epstein, what this could mean for the president's MAGA base. The BC man accused of hijacking a plane had an ideological motive, say police.
There's a Cessna over the airport, around 500 feet, some type of protest.
The social media rant about climate change posted just hours before. Canadian hospitals see a spike in e-scooter injuries.
My message is for parents not to be buying these for their children. They are not toys.
The injuries, doctors say, are preventable.
From CBC News, this is The National with Juanita Taylor.
Thank you for joining us. Adrian is away. Breaking tonight in the U.S., grand jury testimony around convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein could be made public very soon. Donald Trump says he's taking steps to do just that after a stunning new report shed light on his ties to Epstein. The Wall Street Journal is reporting potentially damaging details about their alleged friendship. While Trump denies the report, it all comes amid days of brewing anger among Trump supporters. Katie Simpson is tracking this fast-moving story out of Washington. So, Katie, tell us the latest.
Yeah, more court documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case could be made public as early, possibly as Friday, according to Donald Trump, who says he's asked his attorney general to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. Trump's own supporters have been demanding this for weeks, and the president has been backed into a corner after this potentially devastating article from the Wall Street Journal that says a sexually suggestive letter bearing Trump's name was given to Epstein for his 50th birthday back in 2003. According to the Journal, the letter is crude. There's a hand-drawn naked woman framing several lines of text, with the last line saying, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." CBC News has not verified this report independently. The Journal says it's reviewed documents to corroborate its reporting. As I mentioned, it's dated 2003, which is 3 years before Epstein was ever charged with sex offenses involving minors. Now, Trump is aggressively denying the story, telling the Journal, "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words." On social media, Trump says he warned the Journal they'd be sued if they published the article.
Katie, this comes at such an explosive moment for Trump.
Yeah, Republicans, Democrats, and most significantly, Trump's MAGA supporters have been calling for all documents related to Epstein to be released. Trump and members of his inner circle have long peddled conspiracy theories about Epstein. It's a fixation for some in the MAGA movement. They see Epstein as this larger figure representing government corruption and cover-ups. Trump has tried to distance himself from Epstein, but so far he's struggled to control the narrative. Some in his MAGA base are not giving him the benefit of the doubt, as they have done so many times in the past as he's blown through scandal after scandal after scandal. But this time, there's something about this one that seems to be sticking, and Donald Trump is now in a position where he's forced to act.
All right, Katie Simpson in Washington with this breaking story. Thank you. In a surprise announcement tonight, CBS is canceling the most watched show in late night, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And
Colbert shared the news with his audience tonight. The decision comes just days after Colbert spoke out against CBS's parent company, Paramount Global, after it settled a lawsuit with Donald Trump. The company agreed to pay $16 million after the U.S. president's legal team claimed a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris was edited to paint her in a positive light. In a statement, CBS executives say it's purely a financial decision and not related in any way to the show's performance or other matters happening at Paramount. RCMP in British Columbia say the man charged with hijacking a small plane that grounded flights at Vancouver International Airport was motivated by ideology. Yasmin Renea takes us through what we know about the accused and his possible intent.
A safe landing that allegedly began with a threat of violence. Police allege Shahar Qasim threatened a flight instructor and hijacked a small plane traveling from Victoria International Airport to Vancouver's YVR. In an audio recording, air traffic control can be heard warning others of the situation.
There's a Cessna over the airport, around 500 feet. Some type of protest. They said they'll be here for a couple hours.
RCMP now say the 39-year-old suspect acted with an ideological motive to disrupt airspace, but didn't specify what the motive was. But a Facebook profile of a Vancouver Island man with the same name who says he has a commercial pilot's license posted a day before the plane was allegedly stolen. In the rambling rant, he says, quote, "I am a messenger of Allah. I am the Messiah sent to save humanity from climate change and usher in an era of world peace." Tuesday's incident grounded planes for about 40 minutes and diverted 9 flights to other airports. NORAD Command scrambled U.S. F-15 fighter jets in response.
We were in a great tactical position for the time that we had, and we could have moved closer as we wanted to.
But the plane landed before jets intercepted it.
As we assessed what he was doing, wasn't really posing a threat because he was flying over the airfield as opposed to over Vancouver.
BC Premier David Eby thanked everyone who responded to what he called a bizarre moment.
That it was resolved without loss of life, that it was resolved without more significant disruption is a testament to their skill.
Qasim is charged with 1 count of hijacking. The Public Prosecution Service of Canada says it also constitutes a terrorist offence. He's due to appear in court on July 22nd. Yasmin Ghanea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Turning now to Ottawa, the Prime Minister met with hundreds of First Nations leaders to hear their concerns about a new law granting the federal government power to fast-track major resource and infrastructure projects. But as Olivia Stefanovic shows us, not everyone was convinced by his promises of partnership and prosperity.
Please help me welcome the Prime Minister.
Mark Carney knows he needs the support of First Nations to build major projects.
This is the first federal legislation to put Indigenous economic growth at its core.
But his new law, fast-tracking resource and infrastructure approvals, is facing heavy criticism, including worries projects will be forced on First Nations.
We fully recognize there's many diverse perspectives, which is exactly why we've assembled this group.
Young activists traveled hundreds of kilometers to confront the Prime Minister.
I need you guys to just go back there, and then you can do whatever you want there. Let us in.
Concerned the federal government will bulldoze their rights and the environment.
You guys took our land and you stole it. Now you want to put mining sites where our last land is.
I'm walking out. I mean, this whole thing has just been a complete disaster.
Some left the summit early.
They want to do billion-dollar projects, sidestepping all type of regulations. They can't even get a 2-day event done properly. Leaves a lot to question at the end of the day.
He took the time out to meet with all the chiefs. It's got to be it's a tough crowd.
But Carney's plan also has supporters.
Ever the optimist, that's what I look at it, how it's going to benefit First Nations.
Video shared with CBC News from inside the meeting shows Carney trying to repair broken trust.
And I have been listening, and my colleagues listening very carefully to all the comments. But what we're talking about principally today is how are we going to build together?
Carney's Indigenous Services Minister suggesting fears are overblown.
The likelihood of these projects advancing or being completed without Indigenous people at the table, we heard the Prime Minister in this session, it is, I want to say almost, but to me sounded like zero.
This is the first of 3 summits Carney is holding with Indigenous people over major projects. He meets with Inuit next week and Métis leaders later this summer.
So, Olivia, how does Carney address these ongoing concerns?
Well, the Assembly of First Nations is asking for another summit just with chiefs another year from now. Carney didn't make that commitment, but he says the government will create an Indigenous Advisory Council to help guide decisions over these major projects, double the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program to get communities involved, and set aside $40 million for what the government calls Indigenous participation.
Thanks, Olivia. That's Olivia Stefanovic in Ottawa. A 71-year-old Toronto woman is dead after a vicious stabbing in the parking lot of a commercial plaza. An attack police believe was unprovoked.
She was simply out doing her groceries. From what we can tell, she was simply just getting her groceries, going to her car when she was attacked.
Investigators place evidence markers around the victim's car. Where it sits, trunk still open. Shanaz Pastanji was rushed to hospital but died shortly afterwards. Her attacker, dressed in dark clothing and wearing a balaclava, fled the scene on foot. There is growing concern tonight about the measles outbreak in Alberta. People who are vulnerable are taking extra precautions. Julia Wong shows us the risks they face and how they can protect themselves.
It's an exciting time for Carla Jacobson's family as they welcome baby Penelope. But there's a lingering concern for the family of 6, the growing measles outbreak in Alberta.
It's definitely worrisome having younger kids, even having older kids, you never know.
1-year-old Winnie only has 1 vaccine, and 10-day-old Penelope has to wait months to get her first shot. Woo! With measles being so contagious, Jacobson is being mindful of where they go this summer.
I don't really need to go to the mall, we have plenty of stuff to be able to do outside.
Measles cases have been steadily rising in Alberta since March. There are more than 1,300 cases, the highest per capita in North America.
And those 3 needles go into my abdomen.
This treatment helps boost Gary Gibson's immune system as he fights multiple myeloma, a blood cancer. A stem cell transplant wiped out his immunity, but he can't get the measles shot right now because it's a live vaccine.
It makes me very nervous. I'm a little bit of an isolator.
Good lab results meant Gibson could visit family in Manitoba. But when he returns to Alberta, no big gatherings or festivals.
It's disappointment that our society right now, I blame a lot of it on social media, but our society right now seems to be willing to believe things that are not necessarily scientifically accurate.
With summer events soon in full swing, those who are vulnerable should be practical about where they go, says this doctor.
Outdoor festivals would be the least risky places, whereas going to a bar with low ceilings in the winter when everything's shut down, places like that would be much more infectious.
Those most at risk should also make sure the people around them are vaccinated, a way to block the chain of transmission so everyone can stay protected. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
After the U.S. president reportedly voiced his frustration in a call to the Israeli prime minister, Israel says it deeply regrets a deadly attack on Gaza's only Catholic church. Witnesses say an Israeli tank fired on the church, killing 3. We always call for love, peace, says Shadi Suhail, but what happened is an unjustified criminal act. His mother suffered a shrapnel wound to the head. Also among the injured, Father Gabriel Romanelli. He's well known, as he told the National's Adrian Arsenault back in April, before Pope Francis died, he used to call the church every day.
He called us, usually at 8 Palestinian time.
The calls often touched on daily life, but helped ease the burden.
The people learn to love him.
Francis's successor, Pope Leo, said he is deeply saddened by the strike and he called for an immediate ceasefire. Local health officials said over the previous 24 hours, Israeli strikes in Gaza killed a total of 94 people. The British government revealed today its plans to lower the voting age to 16. Briar Stewart has the mixed reaction and whether something similar could happen here in Canada.
It could be 4 years before voters head to the polls again for the next UK general election. But when they do, the government says the electorate will be larger. It plans to lower the voting age to 16.
This is about engaging young people in that's going to happen in their future.
1, 2, 3, democracy! 16-year-olds are already eligible to vote in some elections in Scotland and Wales. This change would mean the voting electorate across the UK would swell by about 1.5 million. Opinions are mixed.
Why does this government think a 16-year-old can vote, but not be allowed to buy a lottery ticket, an alcoholic drink, marry or go to war, or even stand in the elections they're voting in?
The soon-to-be voting public is divided too.
It just lets younger people also share their opinion, because really, when you vote, it affects them because they're growing up and then that's their government.
Some of the people I know, I don't think they should be able to vote. I feel like it's going to change a lot.
The last time the UK changed the voting age was in 1969. It was lowered from 21 to 18, and Canada followed suit a year later. So what now?
At the end of the day, the voting age is a political decision.
Valère Gaspard says while some have pushed for the voting age to be lowered in Canada, there isn't much incentive politically at the moment. In 1970, there was bipartisan support to lower the age to 18 because of protest movements among youth in the 60s.
They viewed the protests that were happening and the will of young people as, if we don't address this or find some way to address this, that there could be problems for democratic stability.
But with the UK now moving to make this change, he expects the idea could gain more traction in other countries. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Prince Harry is raising awareness about the ongoing threat of landmines by following in his mother's footsteps. Harry was in Angola with Halo Trust. The charity works to clear landmines. Tens of thousands of Angolans died by the weapon during and after years of civil war. Princess Diana famously walked through the same minefield in January 1997. Doctors in the UK are celebrating a breakthrough fertility procedure tonight. 8 babies were born using the DNA of 3 people to prevent passing on a rare genetic disease. Christine Birak explains how it works and why it's currently banned in Canada.
You're watching DNA from a hopeful mom and dad being injected into the egg of another woman. A baby made from 3 people to avoid passing on a rare genetic disease. Now researchers say it worked.
You now have an option that allows you to have children that are genetically your own, but without the risk of passing on that mitochondrial disease.
Scientists say 8 healthy babies have now been born in the UK using this new IVF technique. Results published in the New England Journal of Medicine show pregnancies were confirmed in 8 of 22 patients, a success rate of 36%, 4 boys and 4 girls, including a set of twins. Currently, the oldest is about 2. About 1 in 5,000 babies are born with mitochondrial disease, a condition where tiny energy-making cell structures don't work properly, leaving the body short on fuel to function.
We've had children come in with, blindness, lack of movement, inability to breathe, where they have to go on a ventilator and they never come off and they die from it.
In the trial, all babies saw a drop in defective mitochondrial DNA to below the level that causes disease, but it can show up at any age.
So whether or not this is truly successful or not could take many, many years.
As it stands, Canada does not allow 3-parent embryos under the Assisted Human Reproduction Act.
When I started losing my eyesight, I was on a canoe trip.
Andrea Boland found out she'd inherited the disease in adulthood. She hopes it could help future children in her family.
Just knowing that there's an option to take that gene away would be incredible.
Right now, the technique is approved only in the UK and Australia. While critics express ethical concerns over designer babies, many experts say strong evidence and regulation could alleviate those fears and offer hope to families. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
There is new research tonight that injuries from e-scooters are on the rise, many of them serious.
Enforcement is such a key component to preventing injuries.
Why some say better regulation is needed, next. Plus, remembering Connie Francis.
Pretty little baby, I'm so in love with you. I want to thank the millions of people who sang along with me.
How the pop legend became an unexpected TikTok sensation. And later, a real-life lighthouse keeper gets a comic book treatment.
My pickup line was, "You want to come to my lighthouse for a cup of tea and a donut?"
We're back in 2. A new report is highlighting a dangerous downside to the growing popularity of e-scooters. Jennifer Lagrassa shows us the alarming rise in hospital visits.
It might feel like e-scooters are everywhere these days.
It's really convenient to use it in the bike lane.
But they aren't the safest.
I'm very cautious when I'm riding around. I try not to ride on main streets, etc. But yeah, there are a lot of accidents going on.
E-scooter injuries are on the rise, says a new report from the Canadian Institute for Health Information. Between April 2023 and March 2024, nearly 1,000 people went to hospital for scooter injuries. Half of those were related to e-scooters, a 32% increase from the year before. Men between 18 and 64 account for most hospital visits, but emergency room doctors say they're also seeing a lot of kids.
The one that I could remember was a 14-year-old boy who was riding a scooter, and unfortunately he was in an accident. He ended up having a brain bleed, where we had to transfer him to trauma center.
My message is for parents not to be buying these for their children. They're not toys.
It's mostly boys between 10 and 14 years old who end up at Toronto's sick kids. Many didn't wear a helmet.
If you have speed plus head injury, a helmet will help mitigate those injuries every time.
One injury prevention group says better regulations are also needed.
The current laws around scooters really vary. Enforcement is such a key component to preventing injuries.
Across Canada, there's a patchwork of e-scooter laws. Toronto, for example, has outright banned them, though they're still often seen on streets and sidewalks. In cities like Vancouver and Edmonton, they're available to easily rent in many neighborhoods, but there are different rules about who can ride. Experts say young kids shouldn't be riding or jumping on with another person. And if you do ride, wear a helmet, ride on properly paved streets, and follow the rules of the road. Jennifer Lagrassa, CBC News, Toronto.
The music world is mourning the loss of a pop legend who dominated the charts in the 1950s and 60s.
Everybody's somebody's fool.
How Connie Francis made a late life resurgence on TikTok. Plus, CBC News gets rare access inside Iran.
You know, people go to jail in this country sometimes, or they get fined. Are you not afraid anymore?
Could the country be at a turning point?
The changes we've been witnessing here really are extraordinary. Whether they're going to last is another question.
Margaret Evans takes us behind the curtain of the repressive regime. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world next. Tonight, fans are mourning the death of singing superstar Connie Francis. She burst onto the scene in the 1950s and then enjoyed newfound fame thanks to social media in recent years. Magda Gebrselassie shows us the real-life tragedies behind the legend.
Belting out love and heartbreak ballads, Connie Francis was a pop star in the 1950s and 60s, and later in life, a TikTok sensation.
Pretty little baby.
Born in New Jersey in 1937, at 17 she landed a record deal.
Miss Connie Francis.
Her big break came on American Bandstand, where her take on Who's Sorry Now took off. Then came hits like Stupid Cupid and Lipstick on Your Collar.
A lipstick on your collar.
History was made with Everybody Somebody's Fool.
Everybody's somebody's fool.
Francis became the first woman to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. There were movie roles too, but Francis also faced tragedy again and again. In 1974, she was raped at knife point. Nasal surgery robbed her of her voice for years. Her brother was murdered in a mafia hit, and she had several stays in psychiatric institutions.
Every area of life that I've suffered, when I've recovered, it's been with a new and deeper understanding and compassion for other people.
Recently, thanks to TikTok, fame came calling again. Her song Pretty Little Baby is a viral hit. The track is on millions of videos, showing people singing along, including celebrities.
There is something about how sweet, how
decadent how clear that track feels, that sort of captured the imagination of a lot of people.
And I want to thank the millions of people.
Last month, Francis reached out to her new fans. On Facebook 2 weeks ago, she said extreme pain landed her in hospital. She died Wednesday with no mention of a cause. Connie Francis was 87. Magda Gebre-Selassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Time now to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Iran, a nation at a crossroads.
We are in the close situation right now.
Caught between long-simmering diplomatic tensions and a new generation hungry for change.
When we play hockey, we have a free feeling.
Earlier this year, a CBC News team was given rare access inside Iran. Here's senior international correspondent Margaret Evans.
In May, a CBC News team was granted rare reporting visas for Iran, the first time in nearly a decade. Our visit came at a time of increased tension between the United States and the Islamic Republic over Iran's nuclear program. We've since seen the outcome of that. Back then, many Iranians hoped to avoid war and potentially see an end to decades of crippling economic sanctions. Hanging in the air, Iran's teetering talks with the United States over its nuclear program, even at Friday prayers. The lead cleric full of praise for Iran's negotiators and warnings about their opponents' devilish ways. It is a receptive crowd. Since they're violators and tyrants and respect no laws, negotiation with the Americans is useless, says 82-year-old Abdullah.
The Friday sermon is the Iranian leadership's method of choice when they want to deliver some of their more strident messaging to the domestic audience, but to the outside world too. Behind closed doors, it's more complicated.
Ali Shamhani is an advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. We are not pessimistic towards negotiations, he says. Neither are we optimistic. Shamhani tells me Iran does take U.S. President Donald Trump's earlier threats to bomb the country seriously, but he also downplays them as a negotiating tactic. The old enmity is preserved not just on the famous Down with the USA mural, recently given a fresh lick of paint here in Tehran, but in the former U.S. Embassy, now a museum named the Den of Espionage. But many Iranians have moved on, eager to step out of isolation and beyond past stereotypes. Abol is 33.
I think the negotiation is good for two countries, especially for Iran, because we are in the close situation right now.
Layla is one of an increasing number of young women here choosing not to wear a headscarf despite strict laws. If we make peace with the United States, we're hopeful that the situation will change, she says, and that young people like me don't have to emigrate. The aim of a deal would be to limit Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. Analysts say 3 rounds of indirect talks have been positive, but not yet substantive.
It showed that they both have enough political will to do so. But this was only the first phase.
Whether there is enough political will to go beyond it is another question. Iran's theocracy is well known for the brutal repression with which it treats dissent. Change from within takes courage. But we saw plenty of it in action on the streets of Tehran, with a growing number of women refusing to wear the hijab, despite the risks involved. Hockey. It's not the first thing that springs to mind when you think of Iran, especially when it's a national team made up of women. But it is a reality for those who can afford it, and something people here like to point to when they say Iran is changing, society opening up a bit. We were even allowed in to film the team's dressing room. The players practice here 3 times a week. It's called the Ice Box, and it's the only rink in Tehran. For Hadis Halij, it is a passion.
Hockey is our life because when we play hockey, we have a free feeling.
And she hopes to set an example.
And say to women, we can play hockey, we can do a sport, and we can do all of we want.
Role models are important. This is, after all, a country where, until recently, women have been banned from attending sports games at stadiums. And even now, it's rarely allowed. The team's success at international tournaments helps. Some of their games broadcast live on Iranian television, a first for a female team, says Shabnan Arab.
We have a really good picture in the people's mind as a hockey team, women's hockey team. After of our championships, all of the pictures were in the billboards of the streets in the town, and that was really good for us.
You're sort of heroes.
Yeah, we're famous.
An even bigger societal change in Iran, though, is happening off the ice and on city streets. A startling number of women daring to defy the religious edicts of Iran's ruling clerics and choosing not to cover their heads, as required here by law since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Some are even willing to risk talking about it on camera.
You know, people go to jail in this country sometimes, or they get fined. Are you not afraid anymore?
I am afraid, says Saha, but I'm doing this because I don't want a daughter of mine to have the same fear as I do. Other women say they judge situations accordingly. Jayran goes without a headscarf more and more. Just like many other women, she says. But there are places where the morality police are present, then we have to wear it, just like you're forced to wear it.
The changes we've been witnessing here really are extraordinary. Whether they're going to last is another question. Periods of perceived liberalism in Iran have often been followed by crackdowns in the past.
The death of a young woman named Mahsa Amini 3 years ago in police custody after being arrested for an alleged dress code violation prompted massive protests across the country. But they were put down by security forces, hundreds killed and thousands arrested. And only last fall, Iran's parliament voted to increase levels of punishment for hijab violations, bigger fines, longer jail sentences. Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, who campaigned pledging to ease restrictions on women, has so far shied away from implementing the new, tougher legislation. That's also put him under pressure from conservative hardliners. At Friday prayers in a stadium at the University of Tehran, "Down with America" is a familiar refrain. Many here blame Western culture for turning young Iranian women against the hijab, including Fatimeh Hojat. The fact that the hijab law is not implemented properly in the country has exacerbated this issue, she says. Fear that it eventually will be implemented is a constant undercurrent for those daring to lift the veil, staring at a future that could go in either direction. Leila knows it's a risk. There is a possibility of this, she says, but we're trying again to gain this freedom. If they want to take it away, we will try again to live the way we want to live. Meanwhile, the state is using ever more sophisticated technology to monitor women. Surveillance cameras, snapping them in their cars, sending automatic fines and warnings if they're seen to be flouting the rules. There's even an app for hijab monitors, where people can report women to the police online. That's what makes these acts of defiance by Saha and other women like her all the more remarkable. They may be quiet, but they are daily acts of real courage.
Up next, some Iranians are keen to restore diplomatic ties with Canada, but we'll break down the complications when CBC News Rare Access Inside Iran continues. Diplomatic relations between Ottawa and Tehran are long dormant, but some say it's time to talk.
It's for Canada to decide what course of action they want to take.
After being given rare access inside Iran earlier this year, senior international correspondent Margaret Evans took a closer look at Iran's next steps in its relationship with the world, including Canada.
Iran's dismal human rights record was one of the reasons cited by Ottawa when Canada broke off diplomatic ties with Iran back in 2012. Those pushing for democratic change in the country are divided about how best to achieve it. Signs of life at a building that has long stood empty and dark, the former Canadian embassy in Tehran. The new owner is giving it a makeover, happy to show us around, pointing out the last remaining maple leaf on the building.
We have one. You can see, yeah, okay. We kept that one as the heritage of those days.
Ottawa cut diplomatic ties with Iran in 2012, citing concerns about Iran's nuclear program and calling it a threat to international peace and security. Even though these premises are no longer available, Rasul Nomovari would like Canada to reopen an embassy in Iran.
Strongly, hopefully, that the Canada government return and they open the doors for the Iranian families that they want to visit their families.
Nomovari asks if Iran and America can talk about talking, a nod to renewed efforts for a nuclear deal, then why not Canada?
What we believe is that our doors is open to the Europeans, Americans, Canadians to come visit. We very welcome them. We very welcome you as well.
A longing for an end to Iran's isolation on the world stage is easy to find in Tehran, especially in the markets, where ordinary people feel the effects of decades of international sanctions hitting their wallets. Mohammed is a former engineer.
People are suffering because of the prices are hiking and income is not following the prices.
He believes a deal trading Iran's nuclear ambitions for sanctions relief is possible.
Peace is the one what we're looking for, and I think it will happen.
It's a view shared by analysts who say hits to Iran's regional allies over the past year have left it vulnerable, more in need of an agreement than ever in the face of U.S. and Israeli military threats. But it's also something those fighting for democratic change in Iran worry about, the possibility that improved relations with the West, however slight, could prolong the life of the regime rather than weaken or reform it. Khosrow Malik is one of them, a man whose life is drenched in a loss that fuels his determination to speak out, even though he's been warned not to.
We are people whose loved ones left this world in the most distressing way possible.
Malik's daughter Mariam was en route from Tehran back to studies in Canada 5 years ago now, when 2 Iranian missiles shot down passenger flight PS 752. All 176 people on board were killed, including 55 Canadian citizens and 30 permanent residents. Iran denied responsibility at first before blaming human error. Malik believes the plane was either targeted or knowingly used as a shield against any possible American retaliation after Iranian attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq. The victims' families in Iran, he says, are regularly harassed.
I get a phone call and I'm told that I mustn't speak. Whenever we hold our anniversary ceremonies, we find ourselves surrounded by security forces.
Canada has sought to hold Iran accountable at the International Court of Justice. Malik also wants it to back claims at the International Criminal Court. He says restoring diplomatic ties with Iran would change nothing.
Have the countries that have maintained ties with Iran during this time brought any benefit to our people?
That authorities here are extremely sensitive about the subject is in no doubt. We requested permission to visit the site where flight PS 752 came down, accompanied by an Iranian official. Instead, we were discouraged from talking to any Iranian official about it. We did, of course, at a foreign ministry press conference, along with a query about Iran's opinion on renewing ties with Canada.
If you are interested in that, what would Iran be prepared to do to encourage that direction?
So we are ready for talks. And you said, what should Iran do? I think it's for Canada to decide what course of action they want to take, because I think the first step they have to take is to unravel the many sanctions and restraints that they have imposed on themselves and on our bilateral relations.
Later, spokesman Ismail Baqai denied Iran blocked investigations into Flight PS 752, saying active diplomatic relations would have helped.
That would give the opportunity to both countries to talk together instead of resorting to other means of settlement of this issue.
That's of little comfort to those still mourning the loss of their loved ones, not just in Iran, but in Canada and beyond. Khosrow Malik says there will be no justice for the dead or peace for the living without a fundamental overhaul of Iran's political system.
And not only were they deprived of their right to life, but we, the bereaved, those left behind, have also been denied our right to live. We can never be happy again.
The Canadian government says the Flight 752 case in the International Court of Justice will likely take several years to reach a resolution. In the meantime, Ottawa continues to call on Iran to take full responsibility for its actions. Coming up, a former Canadian lighthouse keeper's tales are transformed into a comic strip.
To publish my book is one thing, but when you see it in a comic strip, that's pretty special.
How his unique career piqued the interest of a national paper south of the border. Next. We are looking at an illustration from a comic series published last week in the Washington Post. It's based on the real life of a Canadian lighthouse keeper. The comics are based on Barry Porter and his very real tales of his long and unique career maintaining lighthouses in Newfoundland. Tonight, his adventures, illustrated on paper, are our moment.
3 years ago, I wrote a book, Adventures of a Lightkeeper. Early this winter, the Washington Post contacted me and told me they were doing a story on careers. Well, I was totally surprised, and she said it was going to be a comic strip. It's 40 drawings, illustrations from my book. I started my career with the Canadian Coast Guard back in 1983. 3 of the lighthouses were remote. You got to keep the main light working and the foghorn running. It was a unique career. You get lonely at times. And they also were fascinated with the romance story of me with my girlfriend, now wife. My pickup line was, you want to come to my lighthouse for a cup of tea and a donut? I proposed to her on one of the lighthouses with a meshes in the bottle. They were really impressed. I've been reading the comments on the post. They're saying a great typical Canadian story. To publish my book is one thing, but when you see it in a comic strip, that's pretty special.
And that heart-shaped message in the bottle asking her to marry him, well, Barry's wife still has it. And you can imagine for Barry, who is from a very small town called Porterville, population 45, to be featured in a national newspaper in the U.S. was a big deal, but Barry says to be on the Canadian national news is even better. And Barry, we agree. And from all of us here at the National, thank you for being with us. I'm Juanita Taylor. Colbert. Take care.